Hi everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time doing another Halloween film review. And this one is on Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Now, as you know, Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare is meant to be a 2025 independent horror film, which of course was the third film in the Twisted Childhood universe film. And after doing two films of Blood and Honey, obviously Peter Pan was the next one to get the whole horror film treatment. And I think after sitting down to watch it, is the best I can say. It's more average at best, but it's got some good ideas. And the premise of the film is meant to follow Peter Pan, who's meant to be this mentally disturbed, uneasy, and more mentally ill person who believes that, yeah, kidnapping random children and taking them to his place called Neverland is where the kids can be free to do what they want. I think what they get right with Peter Pan in here is showing the more dark sides of some people. Like, some people believe that they're taking kids to Wonderland, they believe that they're helping them, they believe in their own make-believe fantasy world. And we do see how, yeah, Michael ends up getting kidnapped, and we kind of see how Wendy has to not only take full responsibility for what happened to Michael, but has to try and find more leads about Peter Pan. I think what I give the film credit is obviously doing something a lot more different with Peter Pan, because a lot of writers who worked on Peter Pan did go a little serious at times, but here I think they do go full on darker. Like, obviously having Peter Pan be a really disturbed, mentally ill guy, believing in his make-believe world. That's interesting. Obviously having Tinkerbell be one of his previous kidnapped victims, but being more of his assistant. I think what makes the book and even the other media work was that Tinkerbell was always meant to be that angel on his shoulder, that one friend that Peter Pan could always count on. Here, I think having Peter Pan use and control Tinkerbell is a good idea. It really just shows you how there's some people like Peter Pan who can use and control people, but don't show any concern or care. But I think what the film suffers from is taking away the idea of using the Lost Boys, taking away the idea obviously obviously how Peter Pan could take other kids from broken homes, other places, and take them to Neverland. Here, it would have made more sense for Peter Pan to take all of Michael's friends to become his Lost Boys and take them to this to his make-believe world, Neverland. There is a bit of wasted potential. But I think what the film suffers from is trying to work with what was given, but still trying to fit that feel to where I think Blood and Honey was trying to do. I think the problem is there is some good ideas, but it wastes some characters, like obviously making James Hook more of a zombie-ish victim and one of his previous victims. It obviously takes away what I think made James Hook and Smee work. They were literally like foils to Peter and Tinkerbell. It would have been nice to have seen James Hook and Smee be like these two cops who've obviously experienced Peter Pan before and offering to help Wendy find any more leads about the whole Neverland kidnapping. There could have been a good idea with that. I think to me is that, yeah, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare does show the dangers of how, yeah, there is some people like Peter Pan who obviously think that they're helping the kids. They think they kind of are believing that they are basically taking them to this make-believe world. They think they are basically doing nothing wrong, but by the end of the day, the people who suffer from mental illness, problems with basically separating fantasy from reality, and that can be a realistic thing. There is just some people who obviously should not be allowed near others if this is how they take things too far with their make-believe world and the people around them. But I think it suffers from obviously a weak, dull, and kind of pointless script that obviously could have been something a lot better. So it definitely deserves a thumbs down. Not the best, not the greatest, despite some obviously good ideas deep down. So, Comic Viewer here, signing out.